There is a difference between a hacker and a builder. Everyone started using the word builder. Hackers are great coders. You could sit on a weekend, whip up a great product, open source it, or contribute it to a DAO. That's great. That's a hacker. That's needed and that's very valuable. But there is a builder who will take this problem statement and run with it for 5 years.
There is a huge gap between what Web3 founders are looking for and what Web3 accelerators and incubators are providing. This is not my view, but something that I discussed with my guest today, that is Pareen Lathia, co-founder of Buidlers Tribe. Buidlers Tribe is an incubator that is helping Web3 founders to be accountable. And I really hope you enjoyed this conversation with Pareen, where we also discuss his journey from being a marketing person in Web3 to now a founder himself. So here we go. What excites you about Web3 and what is Buidlers Tribe? Tell us.
So, frankly speaking, I've tried to start startups in Web2. And when you do that, you see that there are a lot of gates. They open to either people in the valley, or people who have Ivy League education, or some kind of edge over everyone else. It's not very clear at the baseline. There's no meritocracy in that sense. You need a lot of signals. That's what I've been through. I've been through 5 incubators as a participant. Tried to figure out that, hey, can I do something when I was building a SaaS software about 10 years ago? I got super disillusioned. And I said, okay, enough. Quit this. I went to a beach on Goa and I said, okay, let me not focus on tech. Let me start businesses that are very non-scalable, very simple to run, and where I can have some human interaction. While doing that, I stumbled across crypto because, of course, I have this, itch for trying out new products and figuring out what's the new tech. Then I started writing about crypto, which was basically a long Facebook statuses, long posts, which no one really read. But one of my friends said, hey, there's this newspaper called Economic Times. They're looking for a writer. I'm not a writer. What are you talking about? Like, no, I see your posts. It seems like you know what you're doing, and it's a good piece of information to be shared. I said, okay, if you want this, he said, they will not pay you, but come on, contribute. So I started doing that, and I started getting offers saying, hey, would you write for me? Would you write for me? So 3 years I was ghostwriting for all the CEOs of exchanges and protocols and all that. I was chilling mostly in Goa. I had a nice lifestyle business. When I came across Diksha, who was my mentor in 2012 or 13.
Okay.
When I was doing this SaaS startup, so I saw, this guy's doing a brilliant job here. We ended up talking and he said, hey, why don't you join marketing department? And I said, wow, I would be happy to. And started working with him. We did not know what we were doing, frankly speaking. We just got. Even the designation has a really funny story. When they sent me an offer letter, it says senior marketing manager. Although there was no one else in the marketing department, just 2 people. But then what happened here was, I told them this looks like I'm working in a bank, senior marketing manager. She said, you take whatever designation, it doesn't matter. We are a startup. I was like, wow, this is a company that I want to work for. There's a freedom in what I can do, and it never felt like I was an employee. Before WazirX, since my MBA, that was in 2009, I've never had any job. I always believed that I cannot work for someone, but WazirX felt like this is my company. I can really take it forward. And there was such ownership. Started learning a lot. Started getting on the front. Started WazirX blog, YouTube channel, and a few other initiatives, but mostly it was education. That's when I realized, wow, this is great. I want to work in this industry more and more. It's a place where 21-year-olds can start, $100 million company. How is this even possible? So with a few friends, I started investing in crypto startups, small amounts that I had. And that's when I realized that none of these founders understand the business side. All of them, so the average age of a Web3 founder in the last cycle has been 23 years. And they understand tech very well. They're coders. They understand that this product needs to be built. But they don't have the business expertise. They don't understand the marketing side of things. When they don't do that, they came back and said, hey, you were an investor. Can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with that? shit, I know that there is a gap. There's not enough ecosystem support for these people. There are some incubators, even people go to Y Combinator. But when I started talking to some founders here in India who went to Y Combinator or various other incubators that exist, they are like, we are not happy. We're just not happy.
Why?
It's like, oh. Because this was the starting of Builders Tribe that we said, okay, let's figure out how to do this. Let's think from first principles. First thing that we realized is Y Combinator model is content cohort demo day. Content cohort demo day model doesn't work here because you're putting in 20 startup founders together from various different sectors. Would marketing for a DeFi product be the same as marketing for a DAO? Not at all. Absolutely not. So how are you going to manage all of this complexity? Plus, there's so much uncertainty that founders don't want to wait for 3 months to raise money, especially in a bull market when we started. They would be like, hey, I'm not going to wait for your cohort to end and then talk to VCs. By the time your cohort ends, I am already funded here. So the best founders did not really care for these things. Yeah, of course, some people did, but those founders are still away from, long way away from getting funded in some way, right? And when we started Builders Tribe, me and Raghu, my co-founder, both of us, we just started going to founders and saying, so what do you need? We don't have anything. What do you need? So, and then they started telling us, hey, I need this, I need mentoring, I need angel investor connects, I need grants, I need deals, I have too much AWS cost, I have too much cost for, simple tools that they use, right? Software development tools as well. And we said, okay, let's start getting this for people. So for the last 1.5 years, we've just been operating this almost as a service model. We do calls from 9 to 6 founder calls back to back and figure out how to help them. Just nothing that we get from them, but it gave us a lot of learning. We worked with a few startups where we did some advisory deals, but we could only do so much because we can't go and support hundreds of founders. And yeah, so that's how this all started.
Yeah. So you said the Y Combinator model is content, cohort, demo. And there's a problem there. It was not working for Indian founders, or I don't know, generally you're talking about
Web3 founders. Yeah, generally Web3 founders.
Okay. So what is your model? How do you describe your model? And how is it different from that? I mean, I do understand you give a lot of personalized kind of mentoring.
Yes. So let me start. So our model, we did not have a model for most of the time that we've done. In last 4 or 5 months, we built a product. What we realized is we should be supporting founders that show progress. We really don't care what you're bidding, how good the market is, how breakthrough the product is. Really, really doesn't matter. What matters is how obsessed the founder is with solving a particular problem. The only constant here is the problem. The tactics change, the strategy changes, everything changes. Sometimes co-founders quit as well, right? So the team changes as well. But are you really, really obsessed with this problem? How do you measure that? What we did was we just floated a form and said, hey, guys, start putting in weekly updates here. We don't care if your updates are greatest of milestones or the smallest of things. You can say, this week I just talked to 5 users, potential, not a problem. This week I just did 3 hiring calls, not a problem. But when we do that, you're showing up even in failure. That is the main thing that founders really, really need out there. That's become our model now. Like, show us progress and then we'll give you ecosystem support. So once they show progress, we connect them to relevant VCs, mentors. They come in and mentor them. So it's become slightly more scalable. I can't say that it's completely scalable. Way more scalable than the content cohort demo day one.
So what about you? How are you? What's your revenue model in all of this and all this, like helping the community, helping, like, what is there for you as a founder of Builders Tribe in this?
I'll give you one answer that we give to VCs, right? Someday we are going to monetize this community and someday we are going to build something crazy on top of this. And we have a few business models. We could charge founders, we could charge VCs, everything right from a monthly fee to a carry or anything. But I'll also tell you the true answer. What did it for me is I just love talking to founders. That's all. They teach me more than I teach them. And that's what keeps me going, because this is something that I anyway wanted to do. I wanted to talk to the smartest people in the world. And they think that we are teaching them. What we are teaching them is mostly routine set patterns based on what we've seen in the market, some, uh, pitfalls that they should avoid, some good things that they can implement. But what I get is I get to learn so much. When I'm talking to a founder, they don't know what they're teaching me. That actually is what keeps me and Raghu both going. We keep telling our investors that, hey, we don't care. We can do this for 10 years, even if we don't make millions of dollars. It just doesn't matter to us. Uh, it's just something that we like to do, and we do it anyway. Why not do it for building a business? That's become our moat now. People know that these guys just care for founders. That's all.
And what is in it for your investors to back Builders Tribe? And you are backed by a lot of people, actually. I saw your website today. And so, yeah, what's in for them? What are the conversations you have with investors? And when you say you're backed by them, what does it mean? Like,
so we have been invested by 38 angel investors. Now there are 5 VCs, and we keep adding to that, right? So what we want is believers. So first check was Nischal, actually. Then it was Sandeep from Polygon. There's one after the other. These people told us that, hey, if you guys are doing it, we will just support you. Uh, I think, I'm not sure if it was bull market or they just believed in what we were doing or whatever, but somehow they just started giving us some money. Also, we don't burn too much. We don't go yacht parties. We don't do anything that typical Web3 startups do. We don't, for our meetups, we don't even provide pizza, no beer, no nothing, drink chai.
samosa.
Not even that, right? It's just chai,
Okay.
just basic chai. Even in Japan, we had a meetup. We had now we have a chapter in Tokyo. We have a chapter in London. We have a chapter in SF, New York. Nothing. If you find value in the inherent conversations, then that's good. If you don't find value in those conversations, then I could give you the best beer out there and the best party out there and the best venue out there with the greatest view, but it's not going to sustain after the money goes. So we're not money people generally. We're more about saying, hey, let VCs invest, let angels invest. So we are also the only incubator probably in the world that doesn't have a fund associated with it. We just don't have our own fund.
Yeah. Also, because I think like your model somewhere is making life for VCs easy, to find founders that are funding ready in a way.
It is
Because,
in that sense, but we are also
yeah,
hated a lot by VCs because in some sense we are telling them you don't know how to pick startups. We know how to pick startups, and there is no complex act to it. It's so simplistic that your MBA degrees are pretty much worthless here. All we are seeing is which founder is showing up week on week. Is the most donkey parameter that he can have. Sometimes it's so simple that people are like, nah, come on, this cannot happen. And for the past 6 months, we've been tracking this. Now we have data of almost 1,800 startups that we've tracked over a period of 2 years. And we've seen who showed up on a weekly basis. And they actually do it. The people who post weekly updates are the ones who are winning. People don't believe that. Our competitors have been running something similar for a long, long time. They don't believe that at all. But we have data. So
yeah.
our thesis is pretty strong.
I think it's very similar to the philosophy of life, right? Like nobody understands how showing up for exercise every day, even for 10 minutes, is so important, how writing a journal is so important. And then if you do it for 15 days, you see, oh my God, I wrote a journal for 5 minutes every day. It had this great impact on my life. And yeah, well, it all makes sense.
This is a great thought. Now I'm thinking that this is some kind of an atomic habit, It's just a habit that you wake up on a Friday and say, hey, let me send this. Because in my mind also I know. So one of the founders was telling us, no, this is too much weekly update. I can't do this. It's too much of an overhead. Let me do it monthly or maybe even quarterly. And one of our investors ended up saying, "Do you know the shopkeeper on the road tallies his inventory on a weekly basis? That's a shopkeeper on the road doing this. As a founder, can't you spend 15 minutes every week to just post an update? Or you just don't know what you did? Or you don't want to acknowledge that, hey, I did this, but it's not the greatest thing." So we realized that founders who even own their own fuck outs and who own really their failures in that sense are the ones who go and do something. But in Web3, that is going to happen. It's rare that we see a founder who's just like on top of it. Maybe, I don't know, Eigenlayer or Vitalik also had a lot of problem. While he started first few years were not that easy for it. It doesn't happen that way. One of the things that we also noticed is we went to Eat India. Eat India became the largest eat hackathon ever in across the planet. 450 submissions there, 450 founders submitted their projects. Out of them, how many of them are becoming founders? 2 of them.
Really?
That's all. Because, see, there is a difference between a hacker and a builder. Everyone started using the word builder, right? Because hackers are great coders. You could sit on a weekend, whip up a great product, open source it, or contribute it to a DAO, or do some kind of EIP. That's great. That's a hacker. That's needed, and that's very valuable. But there is a builder who will take this problem statement and run with it for 5 years. So what we do is we go to India and ask these superstar bounty winning project founders and say, so are you willing to give 5 years of your life to solving this problem? 5 years of my life? So what did you think? Polygon was built in a day? It was built in a day? Bitcoin was built in a day? Not at all. So, no business was built without founders giving in 5 years of their life. That's the true definition. That's what we are trying to drive. We go to hackathons and generally we can find 1 or 2 builders. Right? And that's actually the baseline filter. If they are not willing to give 5 years of their life to a particular problem state, their product can change it. That's not a problem. But if they are sticking to this problem, then they're going to do it.
That's a very, very interesting take. Okay, so tell me this. Is it a red flag for you if a founder is very good at like getting Series A from investors, tries to build something for a year or 2, fails, or I don't know if they actually take it as failure, but then they switch to problem B, again very good at raising funds? And I know like these kind of people exist, because I interview a lot of founders, very good at raising A, then again, okay, not happening. And if it happens 3 times, but there are just some founders who are so good at raising capital, even on the basis of failure. So what is this a red flag for you?
Big red flag for us. Big red flag for us. We do not let so we have 12 founders that we have closely worked with. Now it's a product, so there are about 900 startups on our product. We don't work very closely with them. But with the 12 founders that we worked, some of them have had 3 months of runway, 6 months of runway. Some of them could not raise their rounds because of the crash. Some of them are very in a very bad position sometimes, and we're like, no problem. Pull this through. We are there with you. Don't worry. Because if they keep changing the problem statement all the time, changing problem statement is not a bad thing. But if you're changing it because it got hard, next segment is also going to get hard. Founder's life, I was actually trying to write an article, how hard the founder's life is. I was talking with someone and they said, you mentioned on your culture, because we're hiring right now, right? So we have a culture document where we mentioned that care for founders is important. And this guy said, hey, I'm right out of college. How do I care for these founders? Because I have to develop that. I don't have it in me today. I said, sit with us. Every month, we see founders crying. And when you see that, you know that this is what founders have to go through. Life of a founder who's building anything sustainable is extremely hard. It's not easy at all at any point in time. You can get 10 million, 20 million in your bag. The life is only going to get harder, right? And we keep telling people like, hey, we go and meet Sandeep in Dubai. How many hours do you think he's working today? How much do you think he's putting in hard work? Even today, he is working as hard as seed funded startup today. After 4 years, after $1 billion, after everything, right? And why are you so afraid of working hard? If you do it, you are not even founder material here. We are a little fanatic that way. We really don't care if their deck is not sexy or their product is okay. They will figure it out. If they're passionate, they will figure everything out.
Okay. So coming to you now, how has your life changed from somebody who was working in marketing in a fast growth, startup, to now somebody who is co-founder of a startup, and you are dealing with so many aspects and not just marketing? How has life changed for you?
Sometimes in Wazirex, I used to think, thank God I'm last year, that's how it's feeling right now, because it's extremely hard. It's so hard. Sometimes that, some things are existential threat. Last year we had a competitor raise $60 million.
Oh,
300 people on that.
okay.
Lashed out. I mean, we are not even large enough to call them a competitor right now, but that's
Yeah.
somehow. There are incubators who've raised 50, 60 million. Straight up raised money, not investment capital, but operating capital. That's crazy for us to think about. Why competitors? They're already there. A lot of people are there. So in every sense, it's a hard challenge. It is almost like building an L2 from India. It's that hard. And we have to keep going back to that example because it's inspiring for us that we can do it. Also, till date, there is no incubator that has come out of India, tried to go even global, there's not even a single incubator in India that's captured the Indian market, even in Web2. Just no
Mm.
one. Now we are very good because we have all of Indian deal flow is with us. We are there completely. Now we have playbook. We are going global with the same playbook in 50 cities across the world. This year itself, till December, that's our target. So it's an ambitious goal. And we know we have to really work hard. We know we have to be extremely innovative and we have to go very sharp. So that's a good challenge to have. I think I'm extremely grateful and lucky to be in this position where we have a great shot at this. Sometimes we meet our competitors, their founders. Recently did a panel in Bangalore where 4 other incubators and I was the moderator. Right? And all of them are bigger than us in terms of money, in terms of reach, in terms of everything. And we are like, great, this is what we live for. Let's put up a great fight and see what happens. Also, I'm very grateful because I get to talk to some of the smartest people. I was in SF late last year. I talked to someone who's been in the Silicon Valley for 45 years now. This guy has had food with Steve Jobs and he has had food with Elon Musk. Right? So how else can I get to learn from this guy? It's impossible for me to do that without having Buidlers Tribe here. And that same access, now we've opened it up to our employees. Everyone in the team goes and talks to some of the craziest, most experienced, smartest people out there. And our team is learning from that. And then we want to open it up to all our founders. See, how can you access this knowledge? How can you make sure that you access this person out? Frankly speaking, we haven't figured it out. That's our mission, to say every founder out there. If I was there in Mumbai 2012, I should have been able to access Polgram, but I couldn't. I just couldn't. If I would have been able to do that without getting a US visa, I did not have a US visa. I got rejected.
Yeah.
Not that my combinator accepted me, but if I would have got a US visa, I would have been knocking on Polgram's door and begging for this. That's how desperate I was, and that's how valuable it was for me at that point in time. But all I could do is sit and read his essays and watch his videos. Why? Today we could really put everything on cloud and coordinate this. We're trying to solve that problem. We don't know how that happens currently. But we figure it out as we go. That's become our culture now. Saying, okay, let's put one step ahead, one step ahead, one step ahead. Let's do whatever's possible.
Did you know it is going to be so hard when you were getting into it?
This is much easier than what I did. 2009 to 2015, I got burnt out. I was in hospital for 3 months. My health was at a stage where I had GERD, and the doctor was like, hey, do you know that the next step is cancer here? And I was like,
fuck.
Now what do I do?
Sorry. Swearing on.
But yeah, I mean, this is what happened to me. So it was infinitely more hard to start something in Web2 compared to this is piece of cake. We have grants are $5,000. Sometimes I look at these 21-year-olds and I'm like, do you know how bad it was? We used to go to VC meetings in 2013 and not have any food because I didn't know if I had to pay or he was going to pay. And I used to get on my motorcycle and be like, I will drive this because it saves petrol cost. I can hire one more developer with that. That's how bad it was in Mumbai in 2012. You just couldn't get any kind of support unless you were an IITian or some person who's really coded a extremely sexy app. Also, I'm not an engineer. Right? I can code, I can make apps, but I'm not that shadowy super coder. So it was always a disadvantage because you couldn't find a coder or founder because you are not funded. All the IITs want money, and you couldn't get funded because you don't have a coder co-founder. And Polygram had actually put an article out saying single co-founders we are not very bullish on. And I was like, oh, a single co-founder, why is this guy writing this article? Now, everywhere in the world, people started thinking, and that persists even today. Some of the founders come to us and say, hey, I'm a single co-founder. Will I get funded? I'm like, don't worry. We are going to get you funded. No problem. Single co-founder or not. We don't care.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem.
This was a problem at that point in time. Some very crazy small mechanical issues, but that made founders' lives really hard. I have friends from Web2 who had very hard lives.
My God.
This seems like a piece of cake to me. Actually, it's very enjoyable.
Yeah. Okay, good to hear that. So do you also invest capital in the startups you are dealing with? Because I think you mentioned something like only the operational cost, like some incubators are getting funding for.
So what we've raised for is not, our investors have not given us money to invest in startups. They've invested in Buidlers Tribe as an equity investment. What we do is, me and Raghu, we have some money made from the last cycle. So we keep doing small checks in founders that we believe in. Most of the founders that we work with, they end up doing a small personal check there. It's a sign of belief. It's not that we're going to make too much money out of it or anything like that, but it's a sign of some kind of beliefs. Hey, I know it's my personal money. It's not even Buidlers Tribe money. I know that you're good. So that's what we do. But otherwise, we don't invest. Our partners invest.
Okay. So actually on this podcast, this is the first time we are talking to somebody from India, and I'm from India as well. I try to hire a lot of people from India.
Yeah.
But I think over years, even though they want to get in Web3, they are very... I don't know like how to put this question in a nicer way. Let me just ask this. So India is, we all see like there's a lot of regulation stuff going on. Generally, the sentiment is not very favoring towards the crypto industry. Still, you have a lot of talent that wants to work in Web3. Crazy amount of people who want to get into Web3, writing messages. Okay, do you have work in Web3? How is this happening? How are these two things coexisting?
I have a thesis. I don't know the right answer, frankly speaking, but I think from what I've seen in the industry here and talking to devs out there, for not just founders, but just someone who wants a job or someone who wants to freelance, contribute to a DAO or whatever, uh, there's just too much hunger. We've been repressed for a long, long time. And I think Polygon's proved that here's the door. We've broken all the ceilings here. What's stopping you from doing this? That's inspiration for us. That's inspiration for a lot of startups. Instagram, not just Polygon, frankly speaking, but that's of course the icon there. But Instagram, Covalent, Bioeconomy, Post, everything that we see today, pure hunger. I can see that their mode is actually hunger. And a lot of VCs ask us, why is this? Why are there 450 devs in India? Look at India in 2030. You will see this becoming the biggest hub because Gen Z, the 23-year-old founder that exists here, has a very high risk-taking appetite. When I started a startup, my family, my friends, and everyone said, are you nuts? You could get a job. Why are you even doing this? What's going to happen? You are not getting funded. So why even do this? There was a very low risk tolerance. The risk tolerance now has gone really high. Failures are also celebrated. Earlier, when someone shut down their company 10 years ago, it would be like, this guy failed. This person really had some flaw in them that they could not do it. They would not even get jobs after that. Today, if it's a failed founder, we accept them, embrace them and say, good job. Let's do the next thing. Because it's a process. No one, like we were talking to someone recently and I said, do you know how many startups did Elon Musk do before launching PayPal? 6, 7. You know how many startups did Nawal do before launching AngelList? Like 5 or something like that. So why are you afraid? You just have to win once. If you have 30 years of your working life remaining, you can fail for 20 years. You just have to win once. That's the journey.
But what about owning crypto, getting paid in crypto, blah, blah, blah? I think these are the things people are not very open to in India, right? Like,
Trading is a big problem.
yeah.
There's no problem with coding here. In fact, government supports that. Like building products, not a problem. Gambling by buying Doge or Shiba and all that, yes, they will shut down UPI. They will do everything. I don't know if it's good or bad. In some way, I also see a lot of people who lost money. So maybe it might be good or bad. And it was great. Every time I went on YouTube or Twitter Spaces or something, I would say, please don't buy too much. Don't. Just don't. And don't buy everything. Just stick with Bitcoin. Don't do this. Don't do that. No one listened. My childhood friends and my cousins and everyone went and bought Shiba and Doge and everything. Greed. We can't control that. So I'm not sure if regulation is the answer to that. And I did that. So I would say 2017, I was a trader. Bull run, I saw all the way up. I thought that I made a lot of money. 18, I rode the wave all the way down. It's BTFD, buying the dip there. And actually, I was almost bankrupt in 2009. So I had like maybe $1,500 and one motorcycle as my net worth in 2019. So I lost everything, literally.
Because
But the
of
good,
the beer
yeah,
run.
just yeah,
Yeah.
just I was a gambler, right? Because I put in a little bit of money and $2,000-3,000. I had a lot of savings from 10 years, and that went and became like $100,000, and I was like,
Wow.
let's put in more money in this, more money, more money. More.
Yeah.
Entire 2018, I was just buying the fucking dip. And it just kept dipping. Some of those coins just disappeared. I see people believing in some coins like hardcore. I believe in this coin. You don't know how many coins that I believed in. I genuinely read their white paper. It's a good deal. Everything was really, really good. They just disappeared. For what reason, I don't know. The founders might always also be well-intentioned founders. They were not scammers, but they just couldn't continue doing it. They were just too tired or they just too disillusioned. They just up and left. And my coin, all my savings since 2009, gone. So I have been through that. So I understand that. And I want people not to do this. Try down with a little bit of money. That's not a problem. But if you go greedy into it, it's going to be disastrous. But the good part was because I lost so much money, I was also like, then why did this not work out? Let me check. And that's when I realized that okay, this is how it works. There's a 4-year cycle, there's Bitcoin, there's other coins, this is how it goes. Oh, okay, there's a pattern here. I was just not knowledgeable and I was gambling because I thought I was a great trader. In bull market, everyone's a great trader. So I've seen that and I understand the government is trying to do that. Generally, my thinking here is government really encourages people building tech. There is no problem with that. As long as you're building tech, you don't have anything to worry about here. Take grants, do whatever you want, legit grants. Don't do degen stuff out here because trading is completely different side. You need to have very different finance skills to trade. This is technology skills. As long as you're building, I don't think the government's going to do anything wrong with builders till date. Yeah, I mean, doing degen stuff completely is something that's going to be hard to take on for found. But now
Interesting.
contributors get paid in crypto. They pay tax. Not a problem. You pay tax. Now there's a legit framework in place, right? You can go and say that, hey, I was working for this DAO. This DAO may be based somewhere else. I don't care. But I disclosed my income and I paid tax on it. Yes, the tax is a little bit on the higher side. The compliance is a little bit on the higher side, but also the money is on the higher side, right? The amount of money that you get in Web3 is always higher than any other industry out there. So take the good parts, take the bad parts, and survive through the struggle till the time there is a very reasonable framework. And this we used to discuss at was years. Regulations never come in a balanced way. It'll be negotiation between the industry and the regulators. And somewhere we'll achieve a balance. It may take 2 years, it may take 5 years, it may take 10 years. If we believe in the technology, we are there. We are not going at it.
Yeah, and we are still early, so we are figuring out our way. Um,
Well,
you have spoken about your frustrations in hiring people on Twitter. Uh, like no, I mean it's something that is important to talk about, right? So you are now building your own startup. You're trying to find a business development person. I understand you're trying to find people. Why is it so difficult for you? Like, what are those traits that you look for, and in interviews you feel people don't have it, or what's your advice to somebody who's wanting to apply for a job, like say maybe with you?
so we've had a really hard time hiring. Most of our startups, even some of our investors have a very hard time hiring. But I think it's because we are very anal about things. Also, we are very uh, irrational. Yeah, I would just use that word. We are very irrational. We want people who have a very high ambition bar, extremely high ambition bar. We have people who take ownership, who are going to be future founders, like who want to just be like, hey, I know I'm going to be a founder. So generally, our team, if you check them out right now, we are 11 people. We are hiring 5 more people in the next month, this month or so. Uh, it's all people who built some products in college, just say it. People who tried working at a startup, either as a co-founder as or as a founding team member, it's failed because they understand the pain. They understand what it takes to support a founder. We are not here to reject founders. We have a famous saying that no one gets rejected from industry. We just don't get rejected. You get rejected only when you stop posting updates. Till then, we are there to support you in whatever way possible. So you need that care. You need that ownership also. So everyone decides their own role and everyone decides their own salary. Everyone decides their own metric. You run with it. If you achieve those numbers, we don't care whether you're working 1 hour a day, 12 hours a day, anything, we don't care. This kind of blood is very hard to find today. Also, it's Web3, so it's pretty crazy. Generally, we are looking at, oh, this happened today, oh, that happened today. So we want to be very fast and updated. on what's going on, and everything's just on Twitter. So we tried hiring some very senior people from Web2, people who come with pedigree, lot of sales, BD experience, and they were just like, this industry is so crazy. I don't have CRM, I have Telegram. Telegram is our CRM here. How do you manage that? Oh, I don't know what's happening. Today I was talking to this person in this, L1 project, and now this person's left and they were gone to this person's come here. This is what's happening. That's what. So the pace of change in Web3 is extremely fast. People who are set in their own patterns, who have 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience, generally can't work in this kind of a culture. We've had a very hard time. For content, we hired an RJ, and it just did not work out. When we get 21-year-olds straight out of college, they have everything, but they've never worked in a company. So they don't know how to communicate with your peers. They don't know how to go. They will go and to a VC and they'll just be like, yeah, I don't know anything, teach me. But objectively speaking, these 21-year-olds are killing it. We do jams almost on a weekly basis. We jam with some of the best and top VCs globally. They come on calls and they say, so this month we are evaluating these startups. Give us your opinion on this. And this is like the top of top cream. These people get an imposter syndrome. Sometimes I've tweeted a lot about imposter syndrome because they have this. And we're telling them, objectively speaking, you've done a lot more because we're seeing thousands of startups. VCs are seeing hundreds of startups a year. The amount of experience is just too much. But they have this personal growth is a problem. The reason why we have an office is because we can all stay here and that personal growth is accelerated. So we are appointing yoga teachers here. We're figuring out how to get them to just grow as people, get them life experience because they are also too much into their computer sometimes. So we found this works very well. You get people who have failed in some way, so they understand, they care for founders, who are very, very ambitious. They don't want to settle with $1 million. They don't want to do that at all. And then once they do that, eventually we can train them for everything else. Web3, yes, we can train them. We do deep jamming. Every day we get a startup in our internal calls and we discuss what's good, what's bad, what advice would you give to the founder, what mentors would you connect this founder to, whether someone would invest in this at this stage or are they not ready, what would it take for them to reach to a stage where they will be fundable. And some of these 21-year-olds see 300 of these startups. Every day in the morning, they see one startup. And that changes them completely. That's what we are doing now. We're hiring extremely young people, even experienced people, but people who have that fight left in them. They are willing to work it out. That's become our strategy for now. We don't know how long it lasts and how far it's going to work. We are very fast in iterating. Our work culture document is a live document. Every time we see something, we keep noting one more point at that. We keep changing our selection process. Everything that we do has to be iterated on a weekly basis. The emails that go out from BuildSo have to be upgraded every week. Improvement has to happen in details every week. That's the mindset that we operate. Somehow these young Gen Z people just love it. They're excited.
No, what's that line by Nawal? No, not 10,000 hours, 10,000 iterations is what works.
I did not read that, but that's so apt actually.
Yeah. So that's what he says. Okay, so that's one. I think now we are just going to give a wrap up to this, Pareen. We have like some rapid fire questions for you. Very easy. You'll nail it. Oh no, actually before that I have one question. You mentioned Burnout that you had in 2009.
No, 2012. Yeah. So 12, 13, I think. 13, yeah.
So how did that change you? How are you looking at your life differently after that burnout? And do you recognize it when it's coming to you now?
Yes. 6 years I've lived on a beach, done enough self-awareness stuff and yoga stuff to understand that I should not be doing that. I should not even be getting closer to these things. Some of our nerd friends get me all of these gadgets and say, measure your sleep. So I'm trying that out as well. But more importantly, what I've realized is if you really care about your business or the cause that you are propagating, it's in the interest of the cause and the business for you to not get burnt out. So every time I overwork myself, and it happens even now, sometimes just yesterday night, I don't know, I read some tweet and I went into some rabbit hole, and 3 o'clock
For
in the night,
sure.
I'm on Slack, and the team members wake up in the morning and say, and what the, this guy is crazy. Right? Uh, but I understand that this is a limit. Now I have to stop because otherwise I won't be able to be creative in that sense. When my burnout happened, I had a team mostly of employees. They wouldn't work unless I was there. There was no ownership in them. I had a product where a VC had said, if you get me a top tier, so I was making an alumni management software, a SaaS platform, which is, if you get me IIM Ahmedabad or IIT Bombay, I'm going to invest in you. I was, okay. I was inside, I was messaging every alumnus that I could find on LinkedIn in Mumbai. I want to meet you. I want to meet you. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I was just at it, popping pills, paracetamol, and just going on and on and on. This is something that's caused this. I realized that this is not sustainable at any point, and
It's not.
also it affects not only me but also the business. So even if I don't care about myself, at least I care about my business, right? So I should not let that happen. And I don't think this time I think there is also a concept of flow. At that point in time, so for that startup, I got term sheets from some crazy ass investors as well. I went to one of my mentors out there who's actually running Thai incubator in Mumbai. I said, sir, I'm getting this 40 lakh rupees, which is a big amount at that point in time. Do you think I should take it? And he told me this thing. Is this your passion? Do you want to make alumni management app? What else? This is there and it's working. I have revenue and I have talk shit now. So he's like, see, you're taking someone's money. You have a fiduciary duty. Now you're going to work on this for next 10 years. Do you want to give this 10? No, 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 no. I don't want to work on this for 10 years. And that's where this thought has actually evolved from. And are you going to give this startup your life actually? We say 5 years, but it's actually life. This time, I really don't mind. I could be not getting paid. Really, I could be not getting paid. And I could keep doing this. So it doesn't result in a burnout. It's just flow, some kind of flow. And I don't know how that happened. Some kind of destiny.
Yeah, you found your play that is work to others. So,
Don't know how
yeah,
that happened, but yeah, it seems like it has happened. I enjoyed a
yeah.
lot.
Okay, so now rapid fire, very quick. Choose one out of the two options I give you. Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Bitcoin.
Exchanges or cold wallet?
Cold
Exchanges or
wallets.
cold Zoom calls or emails?
Huddle. I don't know
What?
if you've seen Huddle.
Huddle. Oh, okay, yeah, huddle. Morning meetings or evening meetings?
Uh, Evening meetings. Sure, this was not rapid fire, but amazing questions making me think so much.
Yeah. Books or podcasts?
Oops.
Yoga or a long walk?
Fourth.
No, you have to choose one.
Long walk, actually. I'm too lazy.
Okay, that was nice, Pareen. It was so good talking to you. And we'll leave. So, how do people reach out to you? Twitter, LinkedIn?
Twitter. My Twitter DMs
Twitter.
are open. LinkedIn is generally a mess. Twitter is
Okay.
where I absolutely respond to everyone, even if it takes a few days.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Pareen. It was so much fun talking to you. And have a great evening in Bangalore.
Thank you for having me here. And some of the questions are really making me think as well. This was fun. And I think, I don't think I've covered so much of my personal life ever. Thank you for having me. Great
Pleasure.
podcast. I saw some of your older episodes and they're just phenomenal stuff.
Thank
Love it.
you. Thank you.
Everyone who is
Okay.
listening should subscribe somewhere, or What's the idea?
Yes, they should subscribe to this YouTube channel and download our episodes from Spotify and Apple and everywhere. So thanks.